Hey, what's up? Yin here, and today I'm going to talk about two IEMs. One is the CVJ Mei and the other is CVJ TXS. Now, the retail price for the CVJ Mei is about 60 bucks and the TXS is about 13 bucks. They are both available on CVJ's AliExpress website, so if you guys are interested, do check out the unaffiliated link in the description below. In this video, I'm just going to quickly go through design, build quality, fit and comfort, and then I'll spend more time talking about the sound performance of these two. Now, this video will have timestamps, so please feel free to skip to the different chapters. Alright, so let's start off with the specifications, okay? And for the Mei is a 1DD plus 2 BAs, okay? And the sensitivity is 120, impedance is 22 ohms, and the frequency range is 10 to 40,000 hertz. Now for the TXS, the box is really small, very budget box. It's a single dynamic driver. It's got tuning switches as well, and the sensitivity is 115, impedance is 22 ohms, and the frequency range is 20 to 20,000 hertz. Alright, so let's talk about the design and build quality. Both of them, in terms of design and build quality, they're worlds apart. The Mei is made of metal and the TXS is made of plastic. Yeah, the Mei feels much more premium as compared to the TXS. I mean, this is like almost 4 times the price of the TXS. Okay, and the Mei comes in 3 colors. It's got black, white, and blue, if I'm not wrong. And then you have the TXS. It comes in more colors. You have black, white, blue, green, and some other colors which I can't remember, but yeah, it comes with more colors. In terms of the quality is definitely the Mei. Alright, the design itself is also the Mei. I find that it's more elegant in the design. It looks more sleek, yeah, as compared to the TXS. Okay, okay, fit and comfort. The Mei fits me very well. It goes into my ears. It reminds me of the blonde fit, whereby, you know, without this cable, in fact, I don't like this cable. When it goes into my ear, it goes like a certain angle, and then this cable sticks out like a sore thumb. So it's kind of, yeah, in terms of the fit and comfort, this is better. It's very comfortable as compared to the TXS. TXS is kind of bulky in my ear. It does expand my ear a bit, okay, but it's okay. I mean, it's just a pretty typical IEM shape as compared to other IEMs or earphones. So the fit is good. It's just that it's a bit uncomfortable for the TXS. For the Mei, it fits my ear very well and it gives me a very good comfort as well. I can wear this the entire day, no problem, and no pain. For the TXS, it feels a bit fatiguing, yeah, a bit as compared to the Mei. Now let's talk about the sound. Now I've tried to drive this. Both are pretty easy to drive, and the gears that I used on this are warmer gears. All right, I tried with my M15S, but it sounded a little bit too thin. Okay, so I went with something more warm, like my iPod, right? So this is a very classic iPod, and it sounds great on the Mei especially. So try to pair with something warmer. It complements the earphones, okay? Alright, now let's talk about technicalities. In terms of the overall performance, I would say the Mei is really good, alright, in terms of the performance for $60. Okay, sounds really good for $60. Whereas for the TXS, it sounds okay, it's average, it's okay for the price point. I mean, it's $13, it's cheap and good, you can't ask for more. Yeah, but for the Mei, it's really value for money. You're getting a very good matured sound at this price, 60 bucks. Okay, now let's talk about the soundstage. For the Mei, it's got a very good soundstage. It's outside my head. It's almost surround sound. Goes to the back of my head, to the top, to the sides, to the front, and it's got something like a holistic type of soundstage. And yeah, overall a very good soundstage. Very wide and spacious soundstage as well. Very spacious, I would say, on this. Now for the TXS, is it's okay. It's wide to the sides, not much height, and the depth is pretty okay as well. The layering is fine. It's not as good as the Mei, as I would say. And the sound separation for this, the Mei is pretty good. In fact, I can identify where the instruments are. Very good imaging as well. But whereas for the TXS, it's okay. I mean, it's well separated from left to right channel, and I still can identify my instruments, but I can't really pinpoint. I mean, the position is fine. I can identify where they are, but I can't really identify the position of the instruments. Okay. For detail retrieval, both perform quite okay. Both are about the same. I would say maybe TXS has got a bit more details as compared to the Mei. Now, in terms of resolution, overall resolution, the Mei beats the TXS hands down. Hands down. There's no competition for this two in terms of resolution. The Mei is a much more resolving IEM. Alright, now let's talk about tone and timbre. Both have pretty much similar tone and timbre. They're fun sounding, they're casual sounding, and easy listening kind of tone and timbre. Both are pretty much heavy note. It's just that maybe the TXS has got a bit of a lighter note as compared to the Mei. And yeah, overall a very nice casual listen on this too. Now, in terms of sound signature, they are both quite similar as well. The TXS has got a bit more brighter treble, a bit more energetic treble, and the Mei sounds really fun and matured fun, a very serious fun. TXS is fun as well, but it lacks a bit of that bottom heaviness as compared to the Mei. The Mei sounds very smooth, and both of them are V-shaped. Okay, so yeah, as you can tell, it's fun and suitable for most genres. Okay, if you ask me, but not so much for critical listening and technical listening. Right? Let me just show you the graph. Okay, for the two of them, and basically. Okay, the purple line is the Mei and the green line is the TXS. So what I like is actually for the two switches to be pushed up. Okay, I'm not a fan of switches, but if you ask me to choose, right, I would prefer the switches to be pushed up. Okay, for this tuning, and for the Mei, the switches does make a big difference as compared to the TXS. So just to show you guys, okay, for example, this is when both switches are being pushed up. This is how the graph looks like, and when the both switches are being pushed down, this is the big difference of the treble. Okay, this is the difference you can see. Okay, and here as well, when I listen to it, sounds much more dull when both switches are being pushed down. Now, when it comes to the TXS, I don't hear much difference and I don't see much difference as well. So when both switches are being pushed down, this is how it looks like, okay, compared to the both switches being pushed up. The graph is basically the same. It's just that the impedance is being increased, okay, when both switches are being pushed up, and you can't really see on this Squig website, but yeah, it is there. It becomes more. It gives more power to, or lets in more air or sound to the IEM when you increase the impedance. Okay, so that's the difference in terms of the switches. Honestly, doesn't really work for me in terms of switches, but I do prefer the switch on this. It does make a big difference for the switches on this Mei. Okay, right. So let's compare the Mei and the TXS. Now, in terms of the bass, okay, both of them have pretty much similar bass, but my perception when I listen to the Mei is giving me a warmer, a heavier, and a more mature type of sub bass. The rumble has got more smoothness. Both of them are quite extended, but I find that the Mei it's got a more pleasing sub bass as compared to the TXS. TXS sub bass sounds a bit thinner, a bit more unnatural than the Mei. Mei sounds really natural, and very soothing and very acceptable type of tone and timbre. Now, in terms of mid bass for both of them is also pretty similar, but in terms of both the note weight and the tone and timbre, the Mei would sound much more pleasing as compared to the TXS. TXS sounds a bit more artificial, yeah, in terms of the sub bass and the mid bass. Okay, and then as for the mids, right, instrument sounds better on the Mei. It sounds more fun, okay, and heavier in the note weight. The timbre is more acceptable, if you ask me. TXS sounds more correct in terms of the musical instruments. Note weight is not as heavy, it's a bit lighter, and it sounds more natural, okay, as compared to the Mei. And vocals sounds better. Male vocals sounds a bit better on the Mei, and in terms of correctness and the overall note weight, it sounds better on the TXS. In fact, I would prefer the correctness as compared to the more fun and casual listening. I mean, that's my preference, okay, but it depends on what you like. So these are the two differences. Now let's talk about the treble. Okay, so treble sounds much more energetic on the TXS. It's much more gain to it. It's much more fun, more engaging. The Mei sounds smoother and much more casual listening. It's not so bright. It's not as energetic. It sounds easy. It's very safe. Okay, very safe type of treble. So for the presence, as I mentioned, the TXS is more present, it's brighter, it's got a bit more sparkle on the higher end as compared to the Mei. Okay, so if you ask me, I would prefer the treble on the TXS, but because of the driver, the overall resolution, the treble didn't sound good to me. It sounds cheap as compared to the Mei, even though Mei sounds smoother, not as bright, but the treble sounds more of a quality. I can hear the quality coming out from the Mei, the treble, as compared to the TXS. Okay, so it boils down to the quality of the driver. To be honest, when you listen to an IEM and when you look at the graph, it's two different things. So for those people who read the graph and explain to you how it sounds like, or how a particular IM would sound like through a graph, don't believe that person, because you will need to listen to the IM and look at the graph and use it as a reference before you can give people advice. Okay, right, so that's the overall presence and the mid treble. Mid treble, I would say the Mei is, even though I see a spike here, but actually it doesn't sound like there is a spike. It's a little bit fatiguing. It's a little bit, but it's not sibilant. Okay, but the TXS is okay. I don't hear much sibilance on this, and not fatiguing as well. One thing to note for the treble of the Mei, it does have a bit of that BA timbre, a bit. I can hear just a bit. Okay, and for the air, both of them are pretty much similar in terms of the roll off. My cymbal strikes, hi-hats, and my claps, they sound pretty natural in terms of roll off and the fade off, I would say. Okay, right, so that's the overall sound signature of these two IEMs, and so let's conclude. Now, in terms of price point, these two are at very, very different price point. This one is just $13 and the Mei is $60. So I guess if it's because of price, you can't afford the Mei, then I would suggest to go for the TXS. But if you have the money and you can afford $60, I strongly suggest to get the Mei and pass the TXS. TXS is, even though it's cheap, the sound quality is definitely not as good as the Mei. You get what you pay for, right? So yeah, in terms of both, I mean, both of them, they sound fun, they sound casual, they are easy to listen to. But if you want quality and you want a better sound stage, better technical performance, then I would suggest the Mei. Okay, and the genre of music is actually pretty general. You can listen to pop, hip hop, trance, techno, heavy metal on these two. They sound pretty good on them. Female vocals, they sound alright. Female vocals sound better on the TXS, to be honest. But yeah, in terms of classical, jazz, solos and all that, not so suitable for the two of them, but you still can listen to them in a casual manner. But yeah, this is not a technical or clinical type of listening experience as compared to some other IMs that I have. Alright, so that concludes my overall review and sound impression of this CVJ Mei and CVJ TXS. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and also please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Right, so that's it for now. I hope you guys have a great day ahead, and I'll see you again in my next video. Cheers.